Have you ever run out of gas? I did many, many years ago. I was driving kind of an old clunker, and I was driving down the road with my son, my little boy, and I ran out of gas right by a bridge. I got out and I didn't know if I was going to be able to find a ride. And then it started raining. It's a helpless feeling. I'm sitting there with a gas can in one hand, 6-year-old son in the other hand, pouring down rain, wondering if anybody was going to help me. Of course, having my son there did not hurt. People felt sorry for us, and I we got rescued, made our way to a gas station, found a ride back, and we were on our way. A little bit damp, but other than that, just fine. There are times when we do feel like we've run out of gas. We have whatever is going on for us becomes a challenge. We've run out of what we need to accomplish what we need to accomplish. It might be that we've run out of time. Maybe you've got a deadline and you feel like you've run out of time to handle that. Maybe you've run out of room to put things that you need to put things in. Maybe you feel like you've run out of money. Where is it coming from? The most difficult thing, I think, sometimes is when we feel we've run out of ideas. What are we going to do? What is mine to do? How do we find God in these difficult times? Or do we even think to look for God in these difficult times? We need patience. We need to make new choices. So what happens when you feel you're running out of energy, running out of willpower, or running out of hope, or maybe running out of patience? Where do you go to find your answers? And how do you go about getting a refill of what it is that you need? We all face challenges of the human spirit from time to time in the course of living life. But often we feel truly lost in our times of greatest need. Where are the answers? We want to get a refill of what is needed. We face these challenges of the human spirit. We read in Isaiah chapter 40, have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint. He strengthens the powerless. Even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will fall exhausted. But those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. We read scripture, we hear these ideas sometimes, and they sound good, but we're in the midst of whatever we're in the midst of. The idea itself might not ring true because we're feeling separate. We're feeling distant. We all have times of loss. There might be a death in the family or a death of a friend. We might have a divorce that we have to deal with, or the loss of a job, or even health challenges. The feeling that accompanies those is a feeling of desperation, of hopelessness. We feel disconnected. We feel disoriented. We don't have any choices, it seems, or sometimes it seems there's too many choices. Which way do we go? We end up being stuck in what if this, what if that. So we're running around knowing that there's got to be answers, but we can't find them because we're trying to figure out the right way to go. We don't want to take a chance of being wrong. Where is the focus? Or maybe it's a lack of focus. Sometimes the answers are right in front of us. We just need to believe. We read in John chapter 5. In Jerusalem, by the sheep gate, there is a pool called in Hebrew Bethesda, which has 5 porticos. In these lay many invalids, blind, lame, paralyzed. One man was there who had been there for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he'd been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" And the sick man answered, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up." See, there was a legend that in this pool, when the water is stirred up, it was because an angel came, and whoever got there first was healed. He says, and while I'm making my way, someone else steps down ahead of me. Jesus said to him, "Stand up, take your mat, and walk." At once the man was made well, and he took up his mat and began to walk. See, what we need simply is something that we have if we call on it. Faith, patience, hope, energy, will. I might have shared this with you some time back, but with this story, what occurs to me is the 38 years. See, one of the numbers that is so prevalent in the Bible is the number 40. Remember, Jesus is in the desert for 40 days. Moses and the Israelites were in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 comes up quite often. And metaphysically, we understand 40 to be the number of completion. Well, here's this man who's been dealing with this for 38 years. He's that close, but for 38 years, he's been waiting for his chance. And Jesus said, "Just believe, stand up, take up your mat, and walk." Well, we may feel out of control with our circumstances. Something to remember, and I don't know if that'll make you feel any better, but we're never really in control. We might take charge of our lives. We can certainly point ourselves in a direction, but as you know, sometimes life happens in ways that we do not expect. What's important to know is that we do not have to hit bottom in order to start moving up. Just like the gas tank has a warning light when you're getting low, which evidently I did not look at when I ran out of gas all those many years ago. We also usually have a warning signal of some sort if we are open. We may just have to be open to the little warnings that are coming our way, little taps on the shoulder, little nudges. We might just have ignored the warnings for a bit too long. So now we have a crisis that could have been avoided. We need to change our attitude. I remember reading a story about a mother of 4, a mother of 5, and her husband came home, and she wanted to be uplifting as much as she could. And he said, "How did the day go? How did the kids do?" And she said, "Well, 4 out of 5 of them did not break their arm." So we've got to have the right attitude. There was a skydiver who was told to jump, and when he jumped, he was getting into his instructions. There'd be a cord to pull, and if that somehow didn't work, there was a separate cord to pull, and that would have the emergency chute come up. And then when they landed, there would be a station wagon or a truck to pick them up. The man jumped out of the plane, And he pulled, and the chute did not come up. So he pulled the other one, and the chute did not come up. He said, now with my luck, I won't even have the truck there. Well, we choose our attitude moment to moment. What's really important for us to remember is that we're never not connected to the things of God. We are never not connected. There's faith, there's imagination, there's love, there's the power of willpower. We can do it. There's strength. We have all of these innately within us. You may have studied The 12 Powers of Man by co-founder of Unity, Charles Fillmore. We have those within us always. It's just a matter of using them rightly. I mean, if you are misusing the power of imagination, for instance, then you are imagining how everything can go wrong. And you are helping to co-create that a little bit. It's up to us to notice when anything is coming up. It's a trigger. When any challenge is coming up, we can shift how we see things. We can shift how we think. We can trust that there is a higher power, a higher knowing, and that we have the ability to align with that higher power, to align with that higher knowing, to find faith when we don't feel we have it, when there is all this doubt, to use our imagination rightly, to feel the love of God and let God be expressed through us as love, to know that we have willpower even when we're feeling tempted, to know that we have the strength when we feel weak. How do we feel connected? How do we feel part of something greater? How do we feel able to consider the good, what is right in life when we're faced with the loss of energy, when we're faced with the loss of anything, really? We can reconnect. We can re-energize. Give you 7 steps to do that. The first one is to surrender. I've had to do that from time to time. It takes a real willingness to surrender, to finally say, not I give up, but I give it over. I remember having a difficulty a long time ago trying to find a job, and nothing seemed to work. Finally, I found something that I could do, but it was beneath me. I felt like I was better than this. But when I finally surrendered to this as a gift from God, everything worked out absolutely beautifully. Actually, it's what allowed me to move from that job into ministerial school and ministry. But it started with surrender. I didn't give up. I gave it over to God. You might have situations like that too. You don't have to live your life with my way or the highway. You can live your life saying, what is up for me? What is it that I'm feeling so needy about? Where do I feel a sense of insistence or resistance? Those are signals. Those can be triggers. Say, I surrender to my higher power, to my higher knowing. Then you approach whatever situation you're needing to approach with humility. Humility, in my mind, has always been about teachability. It's not about humiliation. It's about being teachable. Approach with a feeling of knowing that there's something to learn here. I don't have to have all the answers. First, I surrender, then I approach with humility and accept what is. Say that you have lost a job, or you're dealing with some other kind of loss, or you have a difficulty that's huge and you're trying to find answers. What is. The key is to accept what is without blame, shame, or guilt. I know people who have lived their lives in such a way that when anything challenges them, rather than being in a place of acceptance, their first goal is to find out who to blame or what to blame. Have you ever felt that? This need to blame outer circumstances or another person for what is not working out as well as it needs to in your life? We also need to be able to accept what is without shame. Shame is one of those misguided emotions that says somehow that there's something defective about us, and there isn't. Shame has been taught to us. We want to know that we also have guilt. Guilt at least allows us to make a shift. If we feel guilt for something, we can make amends. We can shift our thinking. But whatever is happening, in order for us to move forward, we need to accept what is. Just say, that's what's so what? And then 4, remember that you are already blessed with so much. I know people who have found great prosperity, peace, love, and so much more simply by having a daily ritual of counting their blessings. First thing in the morning, they start thinking about what is really working in their lives. And at the end of the day, they think back on what has worked and they find peace. They also pull more to them with that energy of gratitude. The key also is to count your blessings, but don't compare totals. It's not about, I'm blessed like this, but Joe has this, Mary has that. No, it's not about comparing totals. Just count your blessings. You're living your life, not anybody else's. Realize also that attitude does make a great difference. I remember many years ago, it was 2017. I was invited to go to Houston to honor a minister who was retiring. I made my plans, and I was going to stay with friends while I was there. Then Hurricane Harvey struck. It was August 25th. My friend's house and car were filled with water. They lost everything. They were staying elsewhere while they tried to put their lives together again. I talked to them and let them know I was praying for them and all who were affected, and realized it would not be possible for me to be there. The celebration was about 2 weeks after Harvey hit. They texted me back and they said, don't let this hiccup keep you from coming. We will arrange to get you picked up from the airport, and we found a place for you to stay. I'm thinking, a hiccup? These people just lost their house. But their attitude displayed their incredible faith. Ironically, though, the celebration went on as planned 2 weeks later. However, 2 weeks later in Florida, where I am, Hurricane Irma hit and kept me from being there. Evidently, I was not intended to be there. I think I sent a message by whatever means there was electronically at the time. But can you imagine going through that kind of a challenge? Having flood, losing what you had, and then knowing that you had the faith to continue to move forward, that things were going to work out in ways expected and in ways unexpected. Number 6, God did not give up on you, so don't give up on God. Substitute something for what's not working. Here, get out your notes. Ready? Substitute faith for worry. Instead of worrying about something, substitute faith. Substitute action for fear. A minister friend of mine once told me a long time ago, action cures fear. Substitute love for frustration. It's easy to get frustrated about something or somebody or even yourself, but allow yourself to have that as a trigger to bring love in. Substitute service for lack. Whenever you feel diminished, like you have less than, find ways to give back with service, showing that you care. Substitute involvement for loneliness. Substitute joy for impatience. And substitute thanksgiving, gratitude for debt. Number 7, open to guidance. Accept the gifts that are given and make the very best of what you have. Consider the next step. That's all we have to be considering, not the rest of our lives. And then follow your guidance. With God, there is always enough and more. Open your heart. Open your mind. Believe in the face of any challenge you experience. Believe. Trust. And then simply pick up your mat and walk. God bless you.